All right, hello everyone. I welcome you to today's class. Welcome to Hemisphere Tech Academy. So, this class will basically be focusing on data analysis function and formulas. So, this subject has been splitted into three. We have the beginner level, we have the intermediate level, and we have the advanced level. So every part of these functions are critical to data analysis, though the priority is different, but you will begin to learn by mastering all of these functions because you can't be a data analyst and you won't make use of these functions to explore a data set. So we'll be starting with the sum function. So and also please note that the data set for practice would also be shared. So would also be shared. Just check the caption below this video. You will see the link to the data set for practice. So we'll start by exploring all of this, the big beginner level functions we have here. We have the sum function, the average function, and the count function. Let's start with that. So the sum function here is used to add a range of numbers, basically used for numbers. And before I begin, if you are a beginner as far as Excel is concerned, before you input any function or formula in Excel, you start with equal sign. You start with the equal sign. You start with the equal sign. So let us explore the data set we have here. So this is the same data set I'm attaching to this video for us to practice. So the first thing, we'll use the sum function here. We use the sum function here. And we're going to use the function here. We can look at this data set now. We have serial number, transaction ID, location, date, item, salesman, unit sold, sales, and profit. So since sum is basically for numbers, so you can decide to add the total unit that is sold. You can decide to add the total sales that was made, which means the total revenue, or you can decide to add up the total profits that you have made using the sum function. Using the sum function. So when I come here, all right, let me move this a little. Let me move the control X. I want to move it backward here so that I can calculate the total sum. Let me freeze this panel a little so that we can have a proper view while I scroll up and down. So now, the first thing I want us to do is I want to calculate the sum of units sold. That is all the item that is sold. How many items did we sell? That is, what we want to find out. Start with equal sum. You will see the formula will come. Just double click on it. Then go and select all the units that was sold. Select everything from beginning downward. Select everything downward. Once you are done selecting everything, close the bracket, click on enter. So you have the total units sold here. Make it bold, Ctrl B. So the total unit of item that was sold in this entire sales record is 295. That is 295 items were sold out. So let us calculate for the total sales also using the same sum function. Equals sum. Don't forget to start with your equal sign, then select everything in the sales column. Select everything, select all the data in the sales column, close bracket, enter. So we can see, make it bold, that the total sales that was made here is 36,915,000 naira. That is the total sales made in this uh, in this sales record. So let us calculate the total profit that was made. Equals sum also. Select everything in the profit column. Select everything. Just select by dragging down. Close the bracket. Enter. So we can see that the total profit that was made is 9,228,750. So using the sum function, we can see that very easy to calculate. So another function I'm going to talk about, let me create, okay, we have the average, we have, let me bring in average here. I'll bring in average here and I'll use count in this place. So the average function, basically, the average function just tells you the average of probably the average of what you have in that record. All of these are basically mathematical functions that we should be familiar with. You might want to know what is the average sales. What is the average sales? This can help you create a measure. It calculates the mean of a range. You understand? Calculate the mean of a range, which means more like to say that this is uh, the balance in our sales. That is, you can easily quantify that averagely, this is the average record. It return back the average sales to you, which is also known as mean. Those who are statisticians, you know what mean is. So come here equals to the average function. Once you see the average function, just double click on it. So go and select the entire record we are doing for units sold. Now I want to know the average unit that was sold. Average unit that was sold. Close the bracket, enter. So now we can see that the average unit that was sold is 9.833. Oh no, no, that is the average unit sold. So we can see that. So here also, well, let's do for average sales equals to average. Select all the sales downward, select everything. So to give you the average sales, the average sales. So the average sales here is 1,230,000, which means the average of what is sold considering the entire record is 1,230,000. You know. All right. So let's see the average profit that was made equals average. So I want you to practice also. Once you get the data set, just practice all around, just the same way we are doing. Just follow the steps. So now you get the average profit. The average profit made is 307,625. So this become very easy for me to understand, to say, okay, at least in this data set, I can just simply say that, okay, at least averagely 9 units was sold all the time. An average of 9 units was sold. 9 units was sold. Consider this record, an average of 1.2 million was made on each sales. So we can see that averagely on each transaction, it's like we make 307,000. So it just give you an overview idea. So let me explain this mass function. What is the mass function? The mass function simply returns the highest value in a particular range. What is a range? You see, a range is the data is will I call it is a let me use the word, if to define a range, I will best explain a range as record that are kept under the same column. So a range is a place where a record can be found. Take for instance, units sold, salesmen, all of these are separate range. If I ask you that what range does computer belong to? Computer belong to the range where we have items listed. So you can see computer there. So this is that range. The entire thing from beginning to the end is the range. So that is this. So a range will be where you are simply making your calculations from. That is the range. Or where you are making your analysis from, or where you are making your findings from. A range is the place. If you enter a house now and I tell you that go and help me look for a spoon, so you won't go to the sitting room, you won't go to the bedroom, you will go to the kitchen, because in the kitchen you will find all kind of kitchen utensils there, including the spoon you are looking for. So that kitchen sound serve as the range where the item you are looking for or the item you want to make analysis on is kept. So what mass return to you is that it returns the highest value in a particular range. Just like saying, give me the biggest apple in this fruit store, or in this among these apples. So it will give you return back the biggest, the maximum. So if I want to look at the maximum unit that was sold in this entire record, the maximum unit, which one is the highest? If I want to identify the highest, I use the mass function, because equals mass, select everything, select the entire range, close bracket, enter. So it's telling me that 27 is the highest unit that was sold. And if you look at this record truly, you will find out that okay, we have 7, 12, we have 13, we have 22, we have 11. You can see that the highest value we have is 27, which means we are very right. So it returns back the highest. So also the mean function. The mean function returns back the minimum value. The minimum value. It returns back the minimum value, that is the lowest value in a given range. So select the range, close bracket, enter. So we can see that it returns to us that the lowest value in this range is 2. Is 2 units. Is 2 units. So I will do the same thing for, I'll just do the same thing for sales. I want to know the maximum sales, that is the highest sales in this record. So this can make it very easy for you as an analyst to identify, possibly the sales that boosted your, you know, probably your entire sales record. What is the highest sales? So we can see that the highest sales in this record is 3.6 million, 3,640,000. That's the highest sale. So also we can look at the lowest sale by using the mean function. Select everything we have there, select the entire range, close the bracket, enter. So we can see that the lowest sales that was made there is 75,000. The highest sale is 3,600,000. We can do the same thing for the profit also. Equals to equals max. Let's see the maximum profit that was made. The maximum profit that was made. So the maximum profit is made is 910,000 naira. Let's see the minimum profit that was made also. So just do this thing over and over again until you master it. So we can see that the minimum profit that was made is 18,750, which means this is the lowest profit in this entire data set. Are we catching that now? So let's go to this function here, the count function. As the name sound, count simply means it is not adding up for you. It is not doing average. It's not giving you minimum. It's just counting an entire range. Count function will count an entire range. It will count the number of data sets in an entire range. That is, when you select a range, it will give you the count of all the data sets you have there. So the count function basically work for numbers. Just explaining this to someone, because you can decide to say you want to count a range that has text, that is alphabet, and you can decide to say you want to count a range that have numbers. So when you're dealing with a range that have numbers, you use the count function. But when you are dealing with a range that has, you know, text or alphabet, or maybe any other type of value, any type of data, any data type that is not number, you use the counter. There's a function called the counter function. It's basically for alphabet, for text values. So if I want to use the count function equals count, let me just count this section where we have the unit sold. Let me count this range. Let me count this range. I'll select the range after writing my count function, select the entire range, close the bracket. So we can see that it returns to me 30, which means if you count this thing and truly when we see our transaction, by the time you follow this serial number, you will see that we have just 30 record here. So it returns to me the number of record, that we have 30 record in this data set. Where is this count function useful? If you are doing analysis, like I taught you, type of analysis, descriptive analysis. If you are doing a descriptive analysis, you might want to tell the business owner the number of transaction that took place. Is a useful information. So how do you tell them the number of transaction that took place? That means you will count all the transaction. You count all the times a data record was made, all the time a sales was made. How many times did we sell something? It gives them an information. So you can use the count function there. So like I said, the count function, it works with number, while the counter function work on range with alphabet. So equals counter, let's give that a try. Equals counter, just select a range with alphabet. Okay, we have location as alphabet, items, salesmen. So you can select any of them, just select them downward. So this should return, close the bracket, enter. So you can see, oh, I didn't count correctly. It can't be 28, it should be 30. Let's do the counter again. So select everything. Make sure you start from the top. Make sure you start from the top. If not, you're going to miss out some values and you'll get the wrong information. So we can see 30. So we have 30 records here. So that's where the sum. So we can just see this. You can go through the video again and watch to have a grasp of what we've talked about. So let us look at other functions right in this teaching. Okay, we'll look at the if function. So the use of the if function is that it performs conditional logic. What does conditional logic simply means? Imagine that you want to categorize, you know, a data set based on, you can categorize based on anything that you determine, but you just want to categorize them. I can decide to say I want to categorize the sales that are high and the sales that are low. That is where I can use this if function. It is a logic function. So looking at this my sales record as an analyst, I can decide to say, okay, I want to categorize sales that are high and sales that are low. So I will be the one to determine first. I have to first determine the criteria, or let me use the word. Now let me determine the measure that I'm going to use to categorize this sale. I can say any sales greater than or equal to any sales greater than or equals to, let me put 700,000, is high. Let that sales be what? High. any sales otherwise low. So which means anything that is not up to that count should be low. So I have set a measure right here. So I've set a category measure in this place right now to say, okay, anything, please sorry, just trying to make an adjustment here. So this is the criteria I'm setting, to say that I want to just categorize all the sales we've made in this place, which means anything that is lower than, anything greater than or equal to 700,000 should be high. Anything lower than that should be what? Low. So the function I can use right here is the if function. So please follow attentively as I use this if function. So I start by writing my equals to if. Type your if. So the first thing it will ask me is my logical test. So you are the one who will provide the logical test here. So the logical test simply is that what? Is what we have defined to say sales greater than or equal to 700,000 should be high, otherwise low. So set the logical test. So the logical test is that this sales, you select it if it is greater than or equal to 700,000, comma, that's the logical test. So it will now ask you, the next thing to ask you is that what do you want us to return to you if if your logical test is true? That is what you see, value if true. So if this logical test is true, what do you want us to return to you? So I want them to return I to me. I to me. That means if these sales meet up with the logical test that I've written here, it should be I. So, comma, the next thing is asking me is that value if false, which means if this thing is not true, what should it return to me? All right, low. So please take note. You can see that the high and low that I'm writing, I use a quotation mark over them. And the reason why I did that is because they are text, they are alphabet. So if you want to write alphabet in a formula or function in Excel, you have to put it in a quotation mark so that Excel will understand that you are writing an alphabet, a text. You understand that now? So except if that alphabet is a function itself, then you don't need. Excel will understand it. But what you are writing, if it is not a function, if it is just a text, maybe a name of a person or something, you must put it in a quotation mark. Please understand this clearly. Close the bracket, click enter. So we can see that this one told us I. It returned I to us. Why did it return I? It means that this sales actually pass the what? The logic test. And that is why it returned I. So when we drag it, you don't need to repeat it over again. Just drag the formula down by clicking on the angle and drag down. So you see that we will have some that are high and some that are low. Let us make everything bold. Let me centralize it so that it becomes visible. So we have some that are high and we have some that are low. You can see we have this is low, this is low, this is low. So the ones that are low, you see that they did not pass the logic test. Like 75,000 did not pass the logic test. This is extremely low. The logic test is what? 700,000. Every value that did not pass the logic test is low. You can see 135,000 is low. It didn't pass the test. 560,000 is low. It didn't pass the logic test. So we can see that now. But I will quickly use this opportunity to teach you something else. It is called conditional formatting. Please pay attention to this video, very important. What conditional formatting does is that it simply highlights a particular range based on the criteria you set, right? So I can decide that I want to highlight this place because what I want to do is that, and I want everyone to do this in their assignment submission. The areas that are, I mean, the values that are high, let them be green. The values that are low, let them be red. But I don't want you to go and paint. Don't go and use this fill function. So someone can come here and come and use this fill function now and say, okay, this one is green. Let me so this is not conditional formatting. You are doing it manually. I don't want a manual work. So conditional formatting will automatically what? Format that cell based on the measure you place. So which means if someone writes something else on it again, you know, the formatting will automatically change. Let me explain to you. So what I simply said now, select all the values in this, you know, in this column. Come to conditional formatting in your home tab. Is under your home tab beside font alignment num you see style. So above it you will see conditional formatting. Select it, just click on it. So it will give you different things. All of these things are conditional formatting functions. So but let us work with the first one. The first one is highlight cell rules. So here, just come here. So since the column we selected is a column that has text, not numbers, so you come to say text that contains, select it. So here we want to say that text that contain I, just spare your I. You see that something is already, magic is already happening there. So you've written your I in this, you have already say format set cell that contain text I. So with what? What are you formatting them to be? The instruction said green. So green field with dark green text. Select that one. That is what we want. Click OK. So you will see that in this data set now, all the cells that are high automatically became green. While the ones that are low, there is nothing there now. So we can set for those that are low also. Go back there. Don't take off your selection. Come back here again. Click on text that contain, then type here format cell that contain low. Spell it here low. So you tell it that, this is what we want. Let them be red. You can do this one or do light red field, any of it. But I prefer the first one, light red field with dark red text. So you can see that automatically text that are low became red. So this is this is the beauty of of conditional formatting. Now let me use something as an example to you. If I change this sales value to something lower than 700,000, you see it will change to low because it did not meet the criteria, it did not meet what we set. Let me put this sales as um okay, the sales we have here, let us copy it out somewhere. I just want for the purpose of explanation so that so that you all will grab what I'm trying to explain. So let us keep it somewhere here. So I want to change it now. So just watch this, that if I change this sales to 200,000, what happened? It became, you see, it automatically became low. And at the same time, the conditional formatting also what? Also changed from green to red. Why? It did not meet the criteria we said. We said any sales that is greater than or equal to 700,000 should be high. So which means it didn't pass. That is why it became low. But if I return back the 1,050,000, if I return it back, you can see that what the sales gave us, and it told you that it is high, and the conditional formatting also change. But imagine that I have gone to start painting the the eye, to say anything that is eye, I come and paint it here. The conditional format, I will actually catch you. So use the conditional formatting. That is the professional way to work. Are we following that now? So, all right, that's my explanation on that. Let's run quick. Let's run quick. Let's run quick. I will still explain the conditional formatting to us, you know, in a deeper level. All right, the next thing we will look at here is the VLOOKUP. And I think I will explain the VLOOKUP. Yeah, I will explain the VLOOKUP and every other thing we have here. Let me explain VLOOKUP to us. So, what is VLOOKUP? From the name VLOOKUP, it is simply VLOOKUP is a function used to search for, it's just like a search engine. You are using it to make a search. It's basically very useful when you are dealing with a large data and you want to quickly just search for something. You want to search for something, you want to, you know, you want to fetch a result for something. Let me give a scenario to you. Let's assume that the manager wants to know, he wants to know the sales of someone among your salesmen. And the manager is like, please, you know, our analyst, please, can you tell us what is the sales of Samuel Green in this sales? Samuel Green is one of our salesmen. Can you quickly tell me his sales? How much did he sell? So imagine you have a data set of 10,000 record. Will you start searching through the 10,000 record one by one? You are scrolling down. That is unprofessional. So with your VLOOKUP, you can fetch out the sales of that person. Are we getting it now? What is important is that just know the name of the person. You will be able to fetch out the sales of the person using the VLOOKUP. So let me explain to you something. The other side, will I say, the next to VLOOKUP is HLOOKUP. So what is the difference between VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP? We have HLOOKUP also. These are the things you would always hear. So HLOOKUP simply means horizontal lookup. So while VLOOKUP means vertical lookup, that is the V and the H you can see there. So it means VLOOKUP will be used in a data set that is vertical, while HLOOKUP will be used for a data set that is horizontal. All of these kind of data sets we've been working with, and most of the data sets you'll be working with all the time, most of it will be vertical. These are vertical data sets that are recorded vertically, that you have the headings and the input are under the headings. These are vertical, written in column style. They are in column style. So, but when you have a data set that is written in in the row style, which means the headings. Let me give you an example of an horizontal data. Example of an horizontal data set is this one. Let's say we have the name of a person, name, age, what else again? Age. Let's assume this is a school data, name, age, class, uh, whatsoever. So here now we have the headings in a row. So the first name we now begin to write name, Babadele Emmanuel. Abadele Emmanuel. Age, let's say 28. Class, let's say 200. Let's say whatsoever. Let's say 400 level. So you want to write another name again. Let's say Amos Akin. Age 30. Class 500 level. This kind of data now is simply an horizontal data, a data that is written in an horizontal way, because of the data the headings of the data are not vertical. You can see this data continue. All the names are written horizontally. All the age entered horizontally. All the class entered horizontally. Unlike this type of data where we have the record in a vertical form, in column, vertical. So you can see that. So that's the difference. I just said that to explain HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP. So if you are looking up for a value in a vertical data set, you are going to definitely use the VLOOKUP. So if you are looking up for a value in this type of horizontal data set, you will definitely use the HLOOKUP, right? So that is basically it. That's basically it. So, okay, let me go straight. So we want to look up for the name, since it is the name of certain people we want to look up for. I remember I taught you something. Okay, but before I go into it, let me just do this first. Let us look up for the name of this man. Let's look up for the sales of Zoe Perez. Let's copy his name. We can place his name here. Let's just copy it. Or even don't, let's copy it. Let's just come here and look up for the sales of this man. So the VLOOKUP function, you start by entering equals to VLOOKUP. So the lookup value now will be the name of that person. Make sure you get the spelling correctly. Zoe Perez. That is the lookup value. The value we are looking up for. So the table array. Now what does table array means? Table array simply means, unlike range will just means one particular place where something is, but array means a larger range of where the lookup value is and where the answer you are looking for is. Remember, we want to look for the sales of a particular salesman. That is, how much did this person sell? So the array will start from the column where we have the salesman name up to the column where we have the sales record. So you will select everything. Are you getting now? That is the table array. So the table array we are going to select here will be this salesman down to sales, because we are looking for the sales of this salesman. So we start from here down to sales. Select everything, just that one alone, the sales up to the salesman up to the sales, because it's the sales we want to look for the salesman. So you've selected your table array, comma. The next thing to ask you is column index number. So column index number simply means, out of the array you have selected, count the column. Which column is the answer? Which column can we find the answer? If you count this array we selected now, on what column number do we have the sales of the person we are looking for? Remember, the array we've selected now is about three, has three column. So what column number has the answer we are looking for? This is one, two, three. So we can see that sales is on the third column from the array we selected. Sales is on the third column. So we'll just write number three, just write three. So once you write three, you enter your column number, put comma, then it will ask you again, are you looking, should we tell you the approximate match? Should we give you an approximate or give you the exact match? Click exact match. It is the exact match that you need. Double click it to bring false. Just close the bracket, enter. So we can see here that the record for Zoe Perez, which is the person we're looking for, it has returned the sales of that man to us to say that Zoe Perez made 135,000 naira. And if you go and check the record, it must be correct. So if you look at Zoe Perez here, what is his sales? We can see that his sales is what? 135,000. That is correct. That is the function of VLOOKUP. Are we following now? Are we following? So let's see. I'm going to write this name out, Zoe Perez. If you don't understand what I've done here, please endeavor to ask. So there is something more professional I want to teach you to do. Is that in a scenario like this, so I'm going to do this formula again. I want to explain something to you. What is more professional to do is that why not have all the names of your salesmen in a particular cell? Remember, I have explained data validation to those who register for this class that you can create a list in a particular cell whereby you can keep selecting names from that list. Are you getting it? So let us, in this cell that I'm going to highlight now, we are going to use this cell to create a list. So this cell will contain the names of all, it will contain the name of all the salesmen. So like I told you how to do it, just go to data, come to data validation, under data tools, you see data validation, just click on it. You will see validation criteria, allow. So we allow list, it is list we want to create. Click on this, then the data source, asking you for the source. So the source is the names, all the names we have in salesman. You select everything. So once you select everything, everything will show up here. Just click on OK. So when we come back here now, we'll see that in this cell now, we have the names of all our salesmen. So we can just make selection, and make selection. That's very perfect. So why in this place I want, so let me just make this cell look good a little. To say that, let me say this. So I want to use lookup value to look up for the sales of any salesman that we pick here. Are you following now? Please follow carefully. Follow carefully. So equals to the VLOOKUP. The lookup value is this cell where we have names listed. Select the cell. That will be the lookup value. Benjamin White is what we have selected. So the table array, like we did. So the table array will be, from the column where we have the salesman name down to the column where we have the result we want to see, which is sales. We select everything. Just make sure you select everything from the beginning to the end of that record. After selecting everything, so that is your table array. So the column index number is the number of the column where you have your answer in that array that you have selected. So 1, 2, 3. So our answer is on column 3, which is sales. Just write 3, comma. So to ask you for the range lookup, do you want us to give you the exact approximate match, which is true, or exact match? We want the exact match. Double click on it, then close your bracket, click on enter. So we can see that right here, it has returned to us, the sales. Let me make this. It has returned to us the sales of this man, Benjamin White. So Benjamin White made 84, no, 840,000 naira. So if you go and check your data record, it will be correct. Look for Benjamin White. So this is Benjamin White. What did he make? Correct. So we can see that it fetch out the sales of this man. So are we following now? Please follow carefully. Very important. So it fetch out the sales of this man. So please pay attention carefully. So the reason why I said you should create a list in the first place is because so whenever you select any name again, the sales of the name you select will be what will come up. Are you getting it now? That makes you look more professional. Can you see? So if you see the sales for Alexander Young, his own sales is 160. Okay, all right. So let's format this place to make sense. Let's change the number format. Let's put a comma separator, 1,000 separator. Let's do it so that we'll quickly know that this is. Let's change to Naira currency. Let me select Naira. Okay. All right. That's good. So just select any name. You see the sales of that person. Henry Martinez, 1,600,000. Daniel Smith, 1,500,000. So I believe we cash that. I believe we catch that. So that's basically what that is. So the rest of the functions we have here, this round function, you can just give it a try. It round a number to a specified number of digits. I will explain this in the physical or virtual class, but basically this ones does not really come up. If you want to round up a number that has maybe a particular decimal place, you want to just round up to a specific digit. This is where you use all of these as you might like. So the median function, median calculates the middle value in a data set. Mode return the most frequently occurring value. So you use it in a case where you have numbers. Let's try this median and mode. So this median function, let's do median here. Median, let's say just do equals median. Do the median of items. No, sorry. Do the median of numbers because your median is working with number. It's a statistic function. So do the median of units sold. So we can see that the median of the units sold is 8. So like we said that median calculates the middle value in a data set. That's what we're taught this in primary school also, not even secondary school. So it calculates the middle value. So if you look at this data set, what is the middle value? We have this data set of 1 to 30. 1 to 30. So we can say, you know, down to 15, then 16. So okay, obviously the middle value is 8. So basically it just return to you median return the middle value, while mode returns the most reoccurring value. That's what the mode function returns. Equals mode. Just select the mode itself. Select that area where we have unit sold. Okay. So we can see that 7 is the most reoccurring, which means people made sales, people ordered 7 products more often. And if you look at the data set, that's true. We see 7 here, we see 7 here, we see 7 here, 7 here. So 7 is the most reoccurring. So this one, if we this mode function can help you to know, you know, how what is the quantity people are likely going to, it help you to predict. It seems people are likely going to buy 7 items. More people prefer to buy 7 at a time. So it just help the business to predict, okay, maybe we can just create our item in a pack of 7, put 7 things in one box. So people just buy directly since people prefer to buy 7. So just depending on how you want to apply it in your analysis. So but we catch that. So the other functions we have here are the date and time function. Today, if you enter the function just like that, just write equals to today and close the bracket. What it returns to you is the current date. If you do equals now, it will return to you the current date and time. If you do equal day, it will return to you the day of the year, the day we are today. So let me give you an instance on that one. Then we are going to close this class. We're going to close this class, and I think it's been a good one. So for the day function, just do equals today. When you do equals today, don't write anything in the bracket, just close the bracket, enter. So it will return to you today's date. So are we seeing that now? It will return back to you today's date. So it will return back to you today's date. You see that? So if I do equals now, sorry, let me write it out here. So let me do now here, equals now, close the bracket, enter. So this one will return the date and the time to me. Are we seeing that now? So what this one returns is simply the date and the time. Make it bold, it returns back the date, the time. So the time I'm doing this presentation is 6:57. Can you see that now? So basically that's what that is all about. Let me see what else, if I'm missing out on anything. So okay, let's see day, month, year. What this one does is that it extracts day, month, or year from a date. Assuming you have a given date, to use the day function now, you have a given date. This date here, this date we have here, if we want to extract the day here, we just want the day, not the entire date. You can use this day function equals day. So it will ask you that the serial number, just go and pick that cell where you have the date, close the bracket. So it will just extract the day here. So we can see that the day is what? 3. So December 3rd, 2024. So it just brought the 3rd. Today is the 3rd. So if you do for month also, assume you are doing for month, just do equals month. It So we just return the value of the month of that day of that date to you. So you can see it returned 12 to us. We can see that. So if you want to just pick out the year also, just do equals year. Select that date you want to extract the year from, close the bracket, enter. You see that now? Very, very simple. Very simple. So all of that is just as simple as ABC. ABC. So just explore. Functions in Excel cannot be exhausted. So we just brought out all the functions in this note as basics that you can master that will be useful for you. So let me land on this one. Logical functions or the OR function. The OR function return true if any condition is met. This one, the result that comes from this is true or false. True or false. Let's assume that you won't be needing this much and you might be needing it also. But for an analyst, it's not too important. So let's assume that we have false here. I want to use the OR function to say equals or. So it will ask me for the logical one. I can say if this is, I can say if this cell is equals to false. So that is the logic I want to write. So if this logic is correct, it will tell me true. So if it is not for correct, I think that explanation can be a little dicey. Let me write something. Let me write a number. So let's assume that what we have here is we have 500. So I can say that we have 500, we have 400, we have 550, we have 700, we have 200. So please pay attention, everybody. Please pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Very important. We want to see something with this OR function. So I is also a logic function, just like if function, but what they perform is totally different. So let me use the OR function here to say equals to OR. So I will enter the logic here to say the logic I want to put is that if this cell is equal to or greater than 500. So what you need to write here is just the logic. Don't say anything. You know, in if, we'll be saying that if it is this, then high or low. If it is not, low. But here, just write the logic. What all we do for you is that if that thing is true, it will just tell you true. If it is not, it will tell you false. So all just understand two language, true and false. That is what it understand. So if the logic you set is correct to tell you true, if the logic is not correct to tell you false by itself. So just click enter. Oh, we found the typo in your 48. Yeah, correct. So we can see that now that equals or this is greater than or equals 500. So because this cell meets the logic, it said correct. If I drag it down, so we see some that are false. This is false because this cell did not meet the logic. This cell is not greater than or equals to 500. Okay, this one is true because it's greater than and equals to 500. This is true. This is false. Can you see that now? So that's simply that on that. So I want to believe that we really, gain a lot of value from this class, and Yeah. So thank you so much. So do your best to go through these teachings again, practice everything, rewatch the video step after step, right? So thank you for joining. This is Hemisphere Tech Academy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So don't forget to get the data set in the link in this caption, and also subscribe and like. Thank you.